Imagine this, you wake to a silence so complete, so deep, it feels as if the world itself has vanished beneath a blanket of snow. The air inside your home is cold, colder than you've ever known, and outside an endless white wilderness stretches to the horizon. Somewhere beyond the walls in the frozen dark, something watches. This is the Viking winter no one tells you about. Let your mind drift now, as the day's worries melt away like snow upon a hearthstone. Picture a longhouse on the edge of a frozen fjord, its roof heavy beneath the weight of winter, its walls sturdy but thin against the great silence beyond. The land is hushed, held tight in winter's grip, and the people within cling to what little warmth and hope remain. Inside, the glow of a small fire casts dancing shadows across the timber walls. The smell of smoke and pine resin fills the air, mingling with the faint, almost forgotten scent of salted meat long since eaten. The people huddle close, wrapped in cloaks of wool and fur, their breath visible in the dim light. Beyond the walls, the night is endless, the snow deep, the cold absolute. Eric, an old man with a beard, white as frost, stands at the threshold. He stares out across the fjord now, a frozen sea of silver under a pale moon. His heart is heavy, for the stores are empty. The cattle gone, and his son Ketil has led the hunters into the forest in search of food. The wind carries with it a sound, the distant, mournful howl of wolves. Are they closer tonight? Is the forest empty, or does it hide dangers as deep as the snowdrifts themselves? Time slows in such a night. The hours stretch like shadows, each heartbeat echoing louder against the quiet. The fire crackles softly, the children doze fitfully. The women murmur old prayers, and the wolves circle unseen. The longhouse seems an island of light, adrift in a sea of darkness. And you, gentle listener, can you hear it? The soft hush of falling snow, the creak of ice on the fjord, the restless sigh of the wind in the pines. Can you feel the cold air on your skin, smell the smoke, sense the weight of that ancient, endless night? Far off a glow flickers among the trees. A torch, the hunters returning, or a trick of the storm. The heart quickens at the thought, even as the mind drifts, lulled by the steady rhythm of the storm, the crackle of the hearth, the song of the wind. And as you breathe slowly, deeply, letting the world of today slip away, know that this is but the beginning of our journey through the forgotten winter. There are mysteries still to come, secrets of ice, of hunger, of the hunt. But only when you are ready. If you've found peace in this quiet corner of history, we invite you to linger longer. Let us know in the comments where you'd like to journey next. And if this story has brought you calm tonight, gently tap the like button and subscribe to join us on future voyages into the past. Outside, the night deepens, and with it the storm's song grows softer, a lullaby of wind and snow that wraps the land in a deeper silence still. The longhouse stands, its roof bowed beneath the snow's heavy cloak, its walls creaking gently as the cold presses close. Inside, the air is warm near the hearth, but thin and brittle at the edges, where frost patterns bloom upon the timber. The fire burns low now, its embers glowing like hidden stars beneath a layer of ash. Eric stirs from his place by the door, his eyes pale as the ice on the fjord search the darkness for movement, for the return of his son, for any sign of life in the night's endless white expanse. But the snow falls thick, blurring the world beyond the threshold, hiding what lies beyond. He listens to the hush of falling snow, the faint crack of ice settling the soft breath of those who sleep uneasily at his back. And in the woods beyond, the hunters press on. Ketil leads them through the forest's frozen heart, each step heavy, each breath a cloud in the dark. The trees rise around them like pillars of black ice, their branches bowed beneath the weight of snow. The world here is all shadow and silver, the moon's pale light filtering through shifting veils of cloud. No birds call, no deer stir. Only the wind moves winding through the trunks like a spirit seeking something lost. The hunters move in silence, their boots crunching softly in the snow, their eyes scanning for tracks, for the flash of movement among the trees. They feel the weight of hunger, the weight of the longhouse behind them, where children sleep with empty bellies and mothers watch the door. They feel, too, the eyes of the forest upon them, the eyes of the wolves that follow unseen but near. A shape moves, a dark blur against the snow. A hare startled darts from cover. Ketil's spear is swift, but the creature is swifter, vanishing into the undergrowth, leaving only the trace of its passing in the snow. The men share a look but no words. Words would only hang in the frozen air, useless and heavy. Time loses meaning in the heart of the forest. The snow falls steadily, softening the edges of the world, covering the hunter's tracks as soon as they are made. The wind shifts, bringing with it the sharp scent of pine, the faint tang of ice. The men press on, drawn deeper into the woods, further from the safety of the fjord's edge, into a place where the night seems to have no end. And all the while the wolves follow. The great gray wolf moves among the trees like smoke, its breath rising in soft plumes, its eyes glinting with a hunger as deep as the winter itself. It watches the hunters, patient, knowing the land is on its side, that the snow and cold will sap the strength of those who walk upright. It waits as it always has for its moment. Cato halts. His hand rises a silent command. The forest is too quiet now, the air too still. The men form a circle, backs to each other, weapons ready. The snow falls thicker, a curtain that hides all but the nearest trees. And in that hush, the hunters hear it, the soft pad of paws on snow, the low growl that is more felt than heard. But the wolves do not strike, not yet. The storm thickens, the wind rising to sweep the snow in great slow drifts. The world vanishes into white, and when the wind eases, the wolves are gone, their shapes swallowed by the forest once more. A sound reaches Cato's ears, the faint trickle of water. A stream perhaps not yet frozen, hidden in the hollow of the land. The men move toward it, hope flickering in their hearts. And there beside the dark ribbon of water they find what they dared not dream, a fallen stag. Its form stiff with cold, its breath long fled. A gift from the winter or the wolves or the gods themselves. In silence they set to work, blades flashing in the moonlight, the scent of blood sharp in the cold air. The meat is wrapped in hides, secured for the journey home. The storm eases and the forest watches silent as before. And so the hunters turn back, their burdens heavy, their steps lighter. The night yields its prize and they move through the snow with renewed strength, the longhouse a beacon in their thoughts. Behind them the wolves follow still, but at a distance, their hunger checked for now. The dawn is slow to come, the sky pale and weary with cloud. The longhouse stands as it did, smoke rising from its chimney in a thin straight line. Eric sees them, first dark shapes against the endless white. Relief softens the lines of his face, and the door is open, letting out the warmth of the fire, the hope of those who waited. Inside, the meat is received like treasure. The children's eyes widen at the sight, their hunger forgotten for a moment in the wonder of it. The fire burns brighter, the longhouse warmer, and outside the storm leaves only silence, the snow covering the tracks of hunter and wolf alike as if they had never been. And in that quiet, as the dawn's pale light brushes the world with silver, the land rests once more. The wolves return to the deep forest, the longhouse settles into the day's slow rhythm, and the fjord lies silent beneath its frozen shield. All is still for now, but the winter has many nights yet to come. The pale morning stretches slowly across the fjord, casting long, soft shadows upon the snow. The world seems caught between night and day, wrapped in a quiet that feels endless, as if the land itself holds its breath. The storm has passed, leaving behind drifts that rise against the longhouse walls, and the trees stand laden, their branches heavy with the burden of fresh snow. Inside, the longhouse stirs. The fire crackles once more, fed by the last of the good wood, its warmth spreading like a slow tide against the cold. The meat from the hunter's prize is prepared with care, some to roast, some to smoke, some to salt as best they can. The scent of it fills the air, mingling with the smoke, the tang of pine, the faint sweetness of the straw bedding. For the first time in many days, the people sit with full bellies. The children's cheeks regain a hint of color, and their eyes, once dull with hunger, shine again with quiet wonder. But beneath the relief, beneath the comfort of the fire and the meal, a truth remains. This victory is small, and winter's grip is long. The forest will not give so easily again. The ice will not loosen its hold. The wolves will not forget. Eric sits apart for a time, his eyes upon the fire. He remembers other winters, other nights like this one, when the line between survival and loss was as thin as a blade's edge. He hums softly under his breath, a tune older than he is older, perhaps, than the sagas themselves. A song of the sea and the ice of the sun's return, of the endless turning of the world. The children listen, their eyelids heavy, lulled by the warmth in the melody, and slowly they slip into sleep. Outside, the snow muffles every sound. The wind is little more than a sigh now wandering through the pines. The fjord lies still, its frozen surface unbroken save for the faint lines of cracks beneath the snow, like veins of silver beneath skin. And somewhere deep in the forest's heart, the wolves gather once more, their shapes hidden among the trees, their eyes bright beneath the rising sun's pale light. Days pass slow and dreamlike. The meat is rationed, each piece precious, each meal small but sustaining. The fire is kept alive with care, fed with driftwood, gathered where the fjord's edge meets the shore with branches torn from trees by the storm. The longhouse holds its warmth, its people drawing strength from one another, from their shared hope, from the knowledge that each day survived is a day closer to spring. But winter does not yield so easily. The cold deepens, the nights lengthen. The sky, when clear, is filled with stars so bright they seem to hum with cold fire. The aurora dances, sometimes great veils of green and white and purple that ripple across the heavens, a silent song of light in the dark. The people watch and wonder, even as their breath mists in the chill air, even as the cold presses close. The hunters go out again and again. They follow trails that lead nowhere, they set traps that return empty. The forest seems to hold its breath, the animals scarce the signs few. And all the while the wolves watch, waiting for weakness, for hunger to dull the senses and slow the hand. The balance of the wild tilts and shifts, as it always does, as it must. One night the sky is clear, the moon high and cold, its light painting the world in silver and blue. The longhouse is quiet, the people sleeping, the fire low. Outside the snow glistens unbroken and pure. And then from the forest's edge, a howl long and low rising into the night like a prayer, like a challenge, like a promise. And another answers it, and another, until the valley echoes with the voices of the wild. Eric wakes and listens. His heart is steady, though he knows the sound well. The wolves are near tonight, nearer than before. But the walls are strong. The fire still burns, and the people are together. He rises, adds a log to the hearth, watches the sparks rise, listens to the crackle of flame, and the quiet breathing of those who sleep. The night stretches on slow and vast, the stars wheeling overhead, the wolf's song fading into the distance. The dawn will come again soft and pale, and with it another day's test. But for now, the world holds its breath, caught in the stillness between snowflakes, in the hush between heartbeats, in the quiet before the next storm. And as you rest now, as you breathe in the calm of this winter night, you might sense it, the soft pull of the forest mystery, the promise of stories still hidden beneath the snow, waiting to be found, but only when you are ready. The days slip by, though the word day feels almost misplaced in a world of endless gray. The sun, when it shows its face at all, hangs low upon the horizon, casting long, pale shadows across the snow, then vanishes again behind heavy clouds that seem to press down upon the land. The sky is a vault of lead, the air sharp as the bite of a blade, and beneath it all, the small settlement endures a fragile spark of life against the vast, uncaring winter. Each morning begins in near darkness, and the light that follows is thin, filtered through veils of cloud and falling snow. The people rise, wrapped in wool and fur, their breath misting before them, their movements slow with the cold, with the weight of hunger that gnaws at their strength. The fire is tended, first always the fire, for without it, the longhouse would be little more than a tomb of timber and ice. The embers are coaxed to life, fresh wood laid upon them, the smoke rising in lazy spirals toward the smoke hole, mingling with the cold air that creeps in through every crack and seam. The tasks of survival are unchanging. The hunters set out at first light, their forms soon swallowed by the snow-laden woods. Others tend the longhouse, gather what driftwood or fallen branches they can check the traps laid along the fjord's edge. The ice grows thicker by the day, the sea beneath silenced, held fast in winter's grasp. The winds blow down from the mountains, carving drifts against the walls, scouring the land clean. There is a rhythm to these days, slow and steady as a heartbeat. The people speak little, their voices soft, as if unwilling to disturb the hush that blankets the world. The sound of the axe biting into wood, the crunch of boots upon crusted snow, the soft hiss of the fire. These are the voices of the winter. Even the children, restless as they are, have learned to move quietly. Their games subdued their laughter, a memory of warmer times. The hunters return, their faces lined with cold, their hands empty more often than not. The deer have gone deep into the forest beyond reach. The birds have fled. Even the rabbits seem to have vanished their burrows, hidden beneath drifts too deep to probe. And yet the hunters go out again and again, drawn by duty, by hope, by the knowledge that to stay is to surrender. One evening, as the gray light fades, Ketil stands at the edge of the trees, his breath ragged from exertion, his hands stiff around the haft of his axe. Before him, the forest stretches a maze of dark trunks and white drifts, the shadows deepening with the coming night. The silence presses close, broken only by the soft creak of ice-laden branches, the distant whisper of wind through pine. He listens, there is nothing. And yet he feels it as keenly as the cold, the watching eyes, the presence of the wolves that have shadowed them for days. He turns for home, the light failing fast. Each step is an effort, the snow deep and soft, eager to clutch at his legs to pull him down. The weight of his empty pack is a sharper burden than any load of meat would be. The longhouse flickers into view at last, its small glow a beacon in the gathering dark. And as he draws near, he glances back once toward the forest's edge and sees them at last, not a trick of the eye, not a shadow, but shapes low and gray moving as one with the night. The wolves do not follow him closer, not yet, but he knows they will not be kept at bay forever. Hunger makes bold even the cautious, and the wolves are as desperate as the men. Inside the longhouse is warm, or as warm as it can be. The fire's glow is soft upon the faces of those who wait, their eyes turning to the door as Ketil enters, their hope rising and falling in an instant as they see his empty hands. But no reproach is spoken. There is only quiet understanding and the sharing of what little remains. The meal is simple, a thin broth flavored with the last of the herbs gathered in summer, thickened with scraps of dried fish and bits of the precious meat from the stag. The children eat slowly, carefully, as they have been taught, making each small mouthful last each swallow a victory. The elders speak in murmurs of the weather of the forest of the time, when the sun will climb higher once more, and the soul will loosen its grip. But their words are not promises, only hopes as fragile as the ice upon the fjord. The night comes on cold and deep. The wind rises again, carrying with it fine snow that drifts against the longhouse, finding its way through chinks in the walls, settling upon the blankets and cloaks of those who sleep. The wolves' voices rise once more, a chorus that echoes through the valley, neither near nor far, a sound that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The people listen in the darkness, their eyes upon the low-burning fire, their hearts steady. This is the way of winter. The wolves sing because they must. The people endure because they must. The world outside the longhouse lies still, the snow falling soft and thick, the stars hidden behind the clouds. The forest, the fjord, the hills beyond all are wrapped in the same silence, the same cold. And in that silence, the land dreams its slow, endless dream of ice and time, waiting for the touch of spring that seems now a distant thing, a tale for another night. Yet even in such deep winter, there is beauty. The way the moonlight, when it breaks through, paints the world in silver. The way the snow crystals catch the light, each one a tiny star. The way the trees stand patient and strong, their limbs outstretched as if holding up the sky. The way the fire's warmth fills the longhouse, a small, defiant glow against the vast cold beyond. And as you let yourself rest now, let your mind's eye wander through that world. See the drifted snow, the frozen fjord, the glow of the hearth through the longhouse door. Hear the hush of falling flakes, the sigh of the wind, the crackle of the fire. Feel the slow, steady heartbeat of winter, the quiet strength of those who face it night after night with courage and calm. Beyond the walls, the wolves watch still, but for now they do not come closer. The longhouse stands, the fire burns, the people sleep. The winter holds its breath. And somewhere far beyond the fjord, beyond the forests and the hills, the first faint promise of spring stirs unseen, unfelt, but inevitable waiting as all things wait for its time. The nights grow longer still, if such a thing can be believed, until it seems that darkness has swallowed the world entire. The hours of pale light slip by unnoticed, a brief hush between one deep night and the next. The snow lies deep now, so deep it reaches the lower branches of the pines, so deep it buries the fallen logs and stumps and stones, smoothing the land into endless curves and hollows, soft as a sleeping giant's form beneath a white blanket. Within the longhouse, life continues slow and careful. The fire burns low, its wood rationed with precision, each piece placed upon the embers with quiet reverence, as though it were gold. The warmth it gives is modest, a fragile defense against the cold that presses in on every side. Still, it is enough. It must be enough. The people move as one in this hard season, bound by need, by habit, by love. The mothers mend torn cloaks and patch worn boots by the fire's glow, their needles glinting like silver fishhooks in the dim light. The children help where they can, gathering kindling, weaving ropes from scraps of hide, listening always to the stories the elders tell, soft tales of heroes and gods, of summer meadows, and the sea's salt spray of better times that might yet come again. Eric speaks little now. He sits with his back to the wall, wrapped in his great bearskin cloak, his breath slow and even, his pale eyes watchful in the flickering light. He listens to the wind's voice as it moves about the house, to the soft murmur of the women's voices, to the sound of the fire as it sighs and crackles. And beyond, in the spaces between these sounds, he hears the night itself, the hush of snow against the walls, the distant howl of wolves, the creak of the frozen world as it settles into its deep sleep. The hunters go out again. How could they not? Hunger drives them as it drives all living things in this season. Kettle leads them once more beyond the safety of the longhouse walls, beyond the edge of the fjord, into the waiting forest. The snow is deep, the cold cruel, but their steps are sure, their resolve unbroken. The forest receives them in silence, the trees standing as they have always stood, patient and unmoved by the struggles of men. The branches above bear the weight of snow and ice without complaint. The trunks rise dark and strong, their roots deep beneath the frost-hardened ground. The forest watches as it always does, impassive and endless. The hunters speak little as they move, their breath loud in the cold air, their eyes keen. They look for tracks, for any sign of life, hoofprints, feathers, the mark of claws upon the bark of a tree. But the forest gives up few secrets this day. It holds its treasures close, as if waiting to see how far these men will go, how deep into the snow, how far into the night. And all the while the wolves follow. They move as shadows among the trees, silent, unseen, their forms ghostly in the swirl of falling snow. Their hunger is as deep as the hunters, their need as sharp. Yet they wait as the wolves always do, measuring the men, testing their strength, their resolve. The forest is their ally, the night their cloak. They are patient as winter is patient. The day fades as it began in a pale hush, the light seeping away into the snowdrifts and the gathering dusk. The hunters turn for home empty-handed but not defeated. Their strength is not yet spent. The longhouse waits its windows, glowing faintly through the falling snow, a promise of warmth, of safety, of shelter. Inside, the fire is nursed back to life, its light painting the walls with soft gold, its warmth driving back the night's cold fingers. The people welcome the hunters with quiet words, with bowls of thin broth, with the simple comfort of company. There is no bitterness here, no reproach. They know too well the ways of winter, the harshness of the forest, the hunger of the wolves. Night falls fully now, the sky a vault of black, the stars sharp as ice, the moon cold and watchful. The snow drifts higher, the wind sings low, weaving around the house through the trees across the frozen fjord. The world lies in a deep, enchanted sleep, a slumber so complete it seems the land itself dreams beneath its blanket of white. But not all sleep. Eric sits wakeful still, his eyes upon the fire, his thoughts deep. He remembers other winters, other nights like this, and wonders at the strength of those who endure. He feels the pulse of the longhouse, the quiet breath of its sleepers, the warmth of their shared courage. And he listens to the wolves, to the wind, to the silence that holds them all. The hours slip by unnoticed, the fire burning low again, the embers glowing like hidden jewels. Outside, the wolf's song rises once more, a sound as old as the world, a hymn to the night, to the snow, to the hunger that binds all creatures in winter's embrace. The sound drifts through the forest, over the fjord, around the longhouse, until it seems to seep into the very walls, into the hearts of those who sleep, into the dreams of those who wake. And in the heart of the night, as the snow falls soft and steady, as the cold presses close, as the wolves sing their endless song, the longhouse stands a small, stubborn light in the vast dark, a beacon of hope against the winter's endless night. The land waits as it always has, as it always will. The snow falls, the wind sighs, the wolves watch, the fire burns. And in that stillness, in that deep, silent place, between heartbeats, between falling flakes, between the breath in and the breath out, you may feel it the slow turning of the world beneath the snow, the promise of a spring unseen, a thaw yet to come hidden for now, beneath the deep, soft hush of winter's endless night. The winter holds the world in its grasp as if it will never let go. Each day seems a mirror of the last, the pale, brief light, the endless fall of snow, the soft moan of wind through the trees. The longhouse stands like a ship stranded in a frozen sea, its walls weathered and strong, its people the crew bound together by need, by loyalty, by the simple will to endure. Within the fire is tended with care. The wood is nearly gone now, only a few precious lengths of pine remain, and they are used sparingly. Twigs and driftwood gathered from the fjord's edge, splinters from broken tools, even bits of old furniture, long stored away, all are pressed into service to keep the flame alive. The fire's glow paints the faces of the gathered folk in gold and shadow, the flicker of light in their eyes reflecting both weariness and determination. Outside, the snow has smoothed the world into soft hills and valleys, burying the familiar landmarks, covering the traps and snares, sealing the land beneath its deep, cold blanket. The fjord lies silent beneath ice, as thick as a man's arm, the sea's voice stilled. The forest beyond the settlement stands black and white beneath the moon, the branches of the pines bending low beneath the burden of snow, their needles rimed with frost. And always there are the wolves. They move at the edges of the world's shapes of shadow and silver, among the trees, their eyes bright beneath the pale light of the moon. Their hunger is deep as the snowdrifts, as sharp as the cold. They follow the hunters when they go out, silent, patient, waiting. And at night their voices rise in song, long, low, mournful howls that drift across the fjord and over the longhouse, a reminder of the wild that waits beyond the walls. Ketil and the hunters return each night with little, a hare perhaps thin and stringy, a raven caught in a snare, a few small birds, their feathers fluffed against the cold, too slow to escape. Enough to stretch the stew another day, to give the children a mouthful to keep hope alive. They go out each dawn, their faces set, their hearts heavy, knowing that soon even these small gifts may fail. The days pass as in a dream, the fire's warmth, the soft murmur of voices, the slow work of hands repairing what can be repaired, making do waiting. The storm comes and goes, the snow falling so thick at times that the world vanishes beyond a few paces. A soft white void that swallows all sound, all sight, all sense of direction. Then the wind will rise, sweeping the snow into great drifts, carving strange shapes along the fjord's edge, piling it high against the walls of the longhouse, howling through the gaps in the timbers like some restless spirit of the storm. At night, the stars return cold and bright, sharp points of light in a sky of deepest black. The aurora dances sometimes veils of green and silver and violet that ripple and flow across the heavens, silent and mysterious. The folk watch in awe, their breath misting in the frigid air, their hearts lifted for a moment by the beauty above, even as the cold seeps into their bones. And always the wolves sing. One night the moon rises full and clear, its light turning the world to silver. The snow glistens like fields of stars fallen to earth. The trees stand black against the pale glow, and the fjord lies still beneath its frozen cover. The longhouse sleeps, the fire banked low, the people wrapped in furs and blankets, their dreams quiet. But Eric is wakeful as he so often is, his pale eyes watching the embers, his ears tuned to the night. He hears it then, the faint crunch of snow, the soft pad of paws, the low whine of a wolf near the walls. He does not move, does not stir the sleepers, only listens calm and steady. The wolf's breath steams in the cold, its eyes glint in the moonlight. It circles the house, testing, seeking. The scent of man, of smoke, of fear and strength mingled rises to meet it. The wolf hesitates, then slips back into the dark, joining its kin among the trees. Morning comes slow and pale, the sky streaked with thin clouds that catch the first light like threads of silver. The air is bitter, the cold so deep it seems to hum in the silence. The hunters rise weary but resolute and go out once more, their tracks soon covered by the falling snow, their figures swallowed by the forest's endless white. In the longhouse, the children stir their faces pale but hopeful. The fire is coaxed to life again, its light a comfort, its heat a small blessing. The women tend the hearth, mend the worn garments, prepare what little food remains. The old ones speak softly of spring long past, of the greening of the world, of the return of birdsong, and flowing water. Their voices are low soothing, weaving a spell of memory and hope against the cold's deep quiet. The forest waits. The fjord sleeps beneath its ice. The wolves watch, their eyes bright, their forms ghostly among the trees. And the snow falls soft and steady, covering all, hiding the world beneath its endless white. And in that stillness, in that hush, between the sigh of the wind and the crackle of the fire, the land dreams on patient, vast, eternal. The days and nights become as one, each blending into the next in a world where the sun's pale glow offers no warmth, only the faintest reminder that light still exists beyond the heavy veil of cloud and snow. The people of the longhouse no longer measure time in hours or in days, but in the simple rhythm of tasks repeated in the slow, deliberate work of survival. The tending of the fire, the melting of snow for water, the sharing of thin broth, each drop precious as gold. The longhouse itself seems to settle deeper into the earth, with each storm the drifts rising higher against its walls, until only the roof and smoke hole remain visible from a distance, a small stubborn mark upon the endless white. Inside, the air is thick with wood smoke, and the faint tang of pine with the scent of wool and fur of bodies kept close against the cold. The warmth is meager, but it is a comfort, and the people draw together as much for that as for the solace of each other's presence. Outside, the snow continues its silent work, reshaping the land, softening edges, covering the past beneath layer upon layer of white. The traps laid along the edge of the forest yield little now. The small creatures of the wood have burrowed deep, hidden from both man and wolf. The fjord remains locked in ice, its surface cracked and scarred but unbroken, the sea's voice stilled. The forest stands quiet and still, the weight of winter heavy upon its shoulders, and the wolves remain unseen but never far. Their tracks weave through the trees, circle the longhouse, appear and disappear among the drifts. Their voices rise at night, a haunting chorus that fills the valley, that seeps through the chinks in the walls, that curls around the dreams of those who sleep. There is no malice in that song, only need as old and deep as the winter itself. The hunters continue to venture forth, their steps slow and heavy through the deep snow, their faces lined with cold and weariness. Ketil leads them still, his spirit unbroken, though his strength begins to wane. Each day they go farther risk, more driven by the knowledge that those who wait in the longhouse depend upon them. Each night they return empty-handed, more often than not, their silence speaking what words cannot. The people do not complain, they do not despair. They endure as their fathers and mothers endured before them, as their children will endure when their own time comes. There is a kind of peace in that endurance, a quiet strength that holds against the storm that burns steady and sure like the embers of the fire at the heart of the house. And still the winter deepens. The moon waxes and wanes above a cold guardian watching over the sleeping land. On clear nights, the stars wheel slowly across the heavens, sharp and bright, their light glinting upon the snow like frost upon stone. The aurora returns, veils of light rippling across the sky in silence, as if the gods themselves walk the night, their steps unseen but their presence felt. The world feels vast and empty, and yet filled with a quiet presence, the weight of snow upon branch and roof, the stillness of ice upon the fjord, the breath of wolves upon the wind. The land sleeps, but it is a watchful sleep, a dreaming that seems to listen, to wait. Within the longhouse, Eric keeps the fire alive through the long hours of night. His hands are slow now, stiff with age and cold but steady. He feeds the embers one small piece at a time, coaxing the flame guarding the light. The children sleep near the hearth, their faces peaceful at last, their hunger forgotten for a time in the warmth and the glow. The others rest where they can, wrapped in cloaks and furs, their breathing soft, their dreams quiet. And in that deep night, in that hush that holds the world a sound, comes a faint creak, the groan of ice upon the fjord shifting in its frozen grip. The wolf's song fades, leaving only the wind, the crackle of the fire, the soft sigh of snow falling from a burdened branch. The hours pass unnoticed, the night stretching long and deep, until at last a pale light begins to touch the edges of the sky, the faintest promise of another day. The hunters rise once more, their faces set with quiet resolve, their steps sure despite the weariness in their bones. They step out into the waiting cold, into the hush of the snowbound world, leaving their tracks upon the untouched white. The longhouse remains, its smoke rising into the still air, its heart steady. The forest stands silent and watchful. The fjord sleeps beneath its frozen shield. The wolves wait. The snow falls soft and endless, covering all. And beneath it all, unseen, unfelt, the world turns. The days lengthen by heartbeats, by the slow breath of the earth, by the promise of a spring, still hidden, still distant, but certain as the stars above. The snow keeps falling. Each flake drifts down in its own slow, silent dance, joining the layers that have hidden the world beneath a deep, unbroken white. The longhouse seems smaller now, pressed upon by the weight of winter, its roof bowed beneath the drifts, its walls creaking softly in the hush that follows every storm. But the fire inside burns still, its glow, a quiet defiance against the vast cold beyond. The people speak less, now their voices saved for what must be said. They have settled into a rhythm as slow and deep as the winter itself. The mornings are spent in small labors, melting snow for water, tending the hearth, repairing what few tools and garments remain in use. The hunters continue their search, though the land yields little. Even the wolves, it seems, have grown thin with hunger, their howls more frequent, their presence nearer. One evening, as the last light fades and the world turns once more to silver beneath the moon, Cato stands alone at the edge of the forest. His breath mists before him, his axe heavy in his hands. He watches the dark trees, the soft, endless fall of snow, the silent waiting of the world. And in that moment, he feels himself small, a single life among many a part of the great turning of the seasons, the endless cycle of hunger and hope, of cold and warmth, of night and day. He turns back toward the longhouse, its faint glow a promise of shelter. Behind him, the forest holds its breath. The wolves watch unseen, their eyes bright beneath the trees. The snow falls soft and steady, covering his tracks, as though he had never passed that way at all. Inside, the fire is bitamon. Amongst it low, its light casting long shadows upon the walls. The children sleep, their faces peaceful at last. The elders murmur softly to one another, their words lost in the crackle of the flames. The night presses close, but the longhouse endures. The cold slips through the gaps in the walls, but is kept at bay by the warmth of bodies, the weight of blankets and furs, the shared strength of those within. Another storm comes sweeping down from the mountains, fierce and unrelenting. The wind howls about the longhouse, driving the snow into great drifts that rise higher still against the walls. The roof groans beneath its burden, the timbers straining, but they hold. The people huddle close, the fire their only light, their only warmth, their only defense against the night's fury. The storm passes as all storms do, leaving a silence deeper than before. The land lies smoothed and still, the shapes of the forest softened beneath the snow, the fjord a vast plain of ice that glitters beneath the stars. The hunters do not go out that day. The snow is too deep, the cold too sharp. They wait as all things wait in the heart of winter, patient as the stones beneath the snow. The wolves come closer now, their tracks found near the walls, their scent upon the wind. The people remain calm. The walls are strong. The fire burns and they know that fear serves no purpose here. The wolves too are creatures of the winter, driven by hunger, bound by need. There is no hatred between them, only the simple ancient struggle to survive. Night follows day and day follows night, each as quiet as the other. The aurora returns, lighting the sky with its silent dance veils of green and silver that ripple across the heavens as if the gods themselves look down upon the sleeping land. The people watch, their hearts lifted for a time, the beauty of the night reminding them that even in the deepest cold there is wonder still. And so the days pass slow and dreamlike. The snow falls, the wind sighs, the wolves sing. The hunters go out and return, the fire burns low and has fed the people endure. The world seems caught in a breath held too long, waiting for the first soft sign that winter's grip has begun to loosen. One morning, the change comes so quietly it is almost missed. The light lingers a little longer. The air smells different, less of frost and pine, more of earth hidden beneath the snow. A drip of water from the edge of the roof, a patch of ice softened at the edge of the fjord, a breeze that carries the faintest promise of warmth. The people notice, and though they say nothing, a lightness stirs in their hearts. The days grow longer by heartbeats, by the slow turning of the sun upon the horizon. The snow begins to settle to crust and melt and shift. The wolves' howls become less frequent, their tracks less often seen. The hunters return with small prizes, a bird, a hare, the first sign of the forest waking from its long sleep. And at last, the first true thaw comes. The ice upon the fjord cracks and groans, water rising to its surface dark and shining beneath the pale sky. The snow begins to shrink from the bases of the trees, revealing moss and earth and stones. The longhouse, once half buried, emerges again, its roof shedding its burden, its walls steaming in the returning sun. The people step out into the light, their eyes squinting against the brightness, their faces turned upward. They breathe deeply of the air, the scent of earth and water and growing things, and feel the strength return to their limbs. The world has turned as it always does. The winter has passed, and spring, slow and sure, has come at last. The land, which had dreamed so long beneath its blanket of snow, wakes. The ice breaks upon the fjord, the streams run swift and cold. The first shoots of green push through the thawing earth. The forest stirs its creatures, returning its trees, budding, its silence filled again with the songs of birds and the murmur of wind through new leaves. And in that soft golden light of spring's first days, the longhouse stands strong, its smoke rising into the blue sky, its people gathered at its threshold, their hearts full of quiet joy, their spirits renewed. They have endured as their ancestors endured, as their children will endure in winters yet to come. And as the world warms, as the snow melts and the rivers run free, as the wolves retreat to the deep forest and the sun climbs higher in the sky, the story of that long, hard winter becomes memory, a tale told by the fire in winters yet to come, a song of endurance, of courage, of quiet hope that shines all the brighter against the darkest night.